All right, so for the last few years, we've all gotten pretty good at using AI as a tool, right? You give it a prompt, and it gives you something back. But what we're about to talk about is a whole new ballgame. A huge shift where AI isn't just a tool you command, but a teammate you actually work with. This is Agentic AI.
See, we're moving from a world where we have to tell AI what to do every single step of the way, to a world where we just tell it what we want to achieve. This is the big difference between the reactive AI we're used to, like ChatGPT, and this new, proactive, autonomous, agentic AI.
And this visual just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got traditional AI. It's totally reactive. It just sits there and waits for you to give it a specific prompt. But on the right, Agentic AI is proactive. You give it a goal, and it takes the initiative. It figures out the steps on its own without waiting for you to tell it what to do next.
So let's look at how this actually plays out. With a traditional AI, you'd give it a single one-off command like, hey, summarize this PDF report. It does that one thing and then it stops. It's done. With an agentic AI, you give it a big ongoing goal. Something like, read every single report that comes in from now on and flag any suppliers that aren't compliant. The agent then autonomously plans and executes all the little steps needed to make that happen, day in and day out.
So, if these agents can just go off and act on their own, how in the world do they think? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a really logical, continuous process that lets them plan, act, and learn all by themselves.
At the very heart of every AI agent is something called the reasoning loop. You can think of it like the agent's cognitive engine or its operating system. It's this nonstop cycle that lets the AI work and adapt without needing a human to constantly step in and tell it what to do.
And here's that loop broken down into 4 simple steps. First, it plans, breaking down that big goal into smaller, manageable actions. Then it acts. It actually does the first thing on its list. Next, and this is key, it observes what happened. And finally, it refines its original plan based on what it just learned before starting the whole cycle over again. And the kicker? This loop runs 24/7. It never stops, making the agent a persistent, always-on digital employee.
Okay, theory is great, but what does this really look like in the real world? Let's walk through a compliance story that shows just how dramatic the impact of one of these AI agents can be. So let's start with the before picture. Imagine you're a compliance officer. Your job is to monitor supplier risk. It's incredibly important work, but wow, is it manual?
So on day 1, you're reading a trade newsletter and you manually spot a new sanction. Day 2 is a slog. You're digging through databases, checking shipping logs, cross-referencing everything. Then, by day 3, you're finally emailing a bunch of different departments to place a hold, and then you have to sit down and write up the whole report. It's a slow, painful process that can easily take days.
Now, how long does that exact same process take for an AI agent? 3 seconds.
And what happens in those 3 seconds is just mind-blowing. The agent scanned literally thousands of global news sources, instantly detected the new sanction, queried all the internal systems, the supplier database, the ERP, everything, autonomously placed a hold on the payments, and generated the full audit report. All of that done before our human officer has even had their first sip of coffee. The scale and speed are they're on another planet.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That level of autonomy sounds amazing, but also maybe a little bit terrifying. How do you possibly maintain control over that? Well, the answer is in a really critical design principle called human in the loop.
Human in the loop, or HITL, is a model where the agent does all the heavy lifting, all the analysis, all the research, all the prep work, but it pauses and asks for a human's okay before it takes a really critical or irreversible action. So this is all about giving professionals superpowers, not replacing them.
This all comes down to a really simple, powerful mantra. The AI proposes, the human approves. All that tedious manual labor gets delegated, but the final judgment, that critical oversight, stays firmly in human hands.
And here's what that actually looks like in real life. The compliance officer doesn't get buried in data. They get a single, clear alert. The AI lays out what it found, the evidence, and its recommendation. The human then makes the final call with a simple click. Approve or deny. That's it.
Okay, so now that we've seen what an AI agent is and how it actually works, let's turn this around and make it about you. How could you start applying these really powerful ideas to your own job? I want you to think for a second about your own weekly routine. What's that one multi-step, rules-based, manual task you do every week? The one you kind of dread.
The check system X, compare it to spreadsheet Y, and then write report Z kind of thing. That's a perfect goal for an AI agent.
Now, keep thinking about that task. Within that whole process, what is the one critical decision point, the moment where you would absolutely want to have the final say before something happens? That's your guardrail. That's the perfect spot to build in your human-in-the-loop approval button.
And finally, I want to leave you with this. Because these agents work 24/7, they open up a whole new world of possibilities. So ask yourself, what critical risk or what amazing opportunity is your team missing right now, simply because it happens at 3 a.m.? With an AI agent, you always have someone on duty.